Hey guys. Um, so our Thursday recordings are me, George, and Chris, and we do various things where we take advantage of Chris's 9 dawn experiences, how he sees the board, stuff like that. But this last Thursday, we in the recording we didn't get the board. We only got the three of us talking. So this is me trying to remember all that was said. He came up with some wonderful ideas. My concern is I won't be able to catch them all, but we'll look and see what was going on. A lot of us, some pretty serious details. So right away, he plays something a little different. And it's a good example of a change. He didn't play the biggest move, which is the empty corner. He played a big enough move, which is the unfinished corner. Empty and versus unfinished. We go to the empty, biggest. And now, big question about what black should be doing. There's this unusual situation in the bottom right. George was prepared. It was me and George against Chris, or more specifically, George against Chris. And if there's something I didn't understand or something I disagreed with, I would speak up and we would kind of talk it through. So George had all the basic ideas, but the thing that bothered me is if we can draw a line from the A to B. Black can't break that line. Now, let's draw a line from C to D. Well, white can break that line easily. So I'm going to play some bad moves just to get the picture I'm trying to get to. If we look at the bottom left half of the board, we see this overwhelming white presence. So I was trying to get through to George, whether I'm right or wrong, I'm concerned that white has a greater potential here. Therefore, the idea of backing off into our own area, which makes our area even smaller, giving him the opportunity to play large scale. I was concerned about that. I played enough professionals that you give them an inch, they take a mile, as it were. So we decided to do something about that. In review, he said, yeah, that's a good idea to do something about it. Says, well, one idea is if you do the most severe pinch, it puts white in a position of not being able to accomplish a great deal. And so that kind of nips it in the bud. Or simply come in and put a safe stone inside white's area. Also does the job, which is what we decided to do. Okay, so that's how we came up with this move, is to not be slow about white's area. Okay. White pinches. We want a stable group here. The best stable group, 3-3, life and points. We do the Joseki. And white comes in here. There's lots of possibilities here. My desire is to not, again, I'm painting a picture here. These aren't the Joseki moves. See how black is playing in a small area while white's playing on a grand scale. I don't want to play a move that gets constrained. And this is a regular Joseki, and it gets out of the situation. It reaches out to safety. What comes in? It would appear that A or C are both fine. We went this way. Now, playing against Chris, I'm pretty concerned about this. I don't feel confidence on how to get a healthy group. Now, I do have intellectual confidence that everything's fine, but emotionally, it's like, oh man, he could really mess with us here. Okay, so now we have to decide about our A group. Is it healthy? And this is always a concern, especially when you're playing a strong player. But we can run to the side, center, or center. So we should be fine. So next is, well, if we're going to take Sente, where shall we go? And let's talk about this move. If we're playing this to defend area, the A group, then don't play it. It doesn't need defense. If you're playing this because the top is biggest, great. You might even decide to play here if the top is biggest. That's a more practical, really nice move played on top. A lot of people think of this as the corner, which it is, but it's not lacking when it comes to black playing on top. It's not like, oh, this is more top. No, they're both fully top. This just also is corner. So that's big. I brought out the idea that our B situation is unfinished. So most common idea is when you have Sente, go finish your idea. Okay, great. And now white needs to finish, or will likely finish, probably here. And then we have Sente to go do whatever we want. That would be great. This principle of finishing something is pretty strong. There's two dangers here. One is, well, what if white ignores? Is white's A structure strong enough so that white can actually get Sente here? I think the answer is no, but it does leave one wondering. Next thing is, if we're looking at the B wall as influence, well, then we just finished a C group low. Well, that doesn't go with influence. So there's two potential problems here. C's low, which may or may, I don't think it's a problem. I think white should be defending, and we don't have an influence game. We have whites doing a practical game. Perfectly, I love it. That would be what I would do. But George is putting stones down, and we talked about B helping B, but working with black's wall. So we went this way. Okay, now we're saying that A has a skirt and that the B stone is closing it. Okay, that makes sense. We're playing in a big area. Okay, that makes sense. We're treating C as influence. Okay. So I don't like the move, but it does tick an awful lot of boxes and it's clearly playable. I just don't like the impracticality of it. White plays here. So there's a few ideas. One is finishing up Joseki. Okay, done deal. But B is a big area. There's an idea that the side B is bigger than the corner, although it does appear that we get it in Sente. So we talked about this move. The idea being, as I remove a stone, that we see this position. A is the open skirt, B closes it, and we have a nice extension. That's very pleasant. On top of which we still have a move helping in the corner. So this has a nice practical feel to it. The only problem is we just said we want influence, and now we're switching our minds again. Now, when Chris, the strong player, he looks at this stuff and he comes up with all these little details. He knows how to work things. And he's like, well, and he talked about B. And he says, yeah, you're leaving a gap there. But on this board, the A stone is not the important part. The B area is what's important. So this black move really puts focus on top and builds the right and supports our stones there. So he was thinking this was better. White plays here. Now this move really surprised me. And when he explained things, I was impressed. Okay, so when he plays here, oh, sorry. When he plays here, we can see a target, those two black stones on the side. They've become a target, which makes the invasion easier and makes it dangerous for black. Any cut, he could get in trouble. Okay, so that's one thing it does. Next, he says, yeah, when I play here, not only is it big, makes the invasion at A easier, A or B, they're both comfortable invasion points. On top of that, he's not so concerned about white's move up here, because if we Tawari, R11 should be at Q11. That's where we play next. So that this actual black move is out of place. So when black plays on top, he is in effect punishing himself, which I thought was a very interesting perspective. So I'll let you ruminate on that. Something else he brought up, and that's about the E move. Ooh, what do you call it when a big bird walks? E movement. E move. Okay. The E move. Now I'm going to move the stones a little bit so we can see the idea. I'm going to move it to here, which is the same concept, and I'm going to add a stone so it becomes more obvious. Okay. So notice that this black move isn't doing anything, isn't doing much on the left because white has a strong position there. So black doesn't want to play this move. It just only serves to help white. Right? White's getting helped, but black, nothing. White has a strong position there. So back to the board, those two E stones are a particularly strong position on the left, so that black has no desire to play this, which means the E stone says this is just white's whenever he wants it. I thought that was really interesting. It showed some depth of insight there. Now this is all, this doesn't mean much until you're at least 4 down, right? 3 or 4 down. Then it's like, okay, I can start using this. 1 downs, they just, even if they see it, they're not going to be using it very well. Okay. We end up playing here, and he agreed this is probably the only idea. He starts his entry. Now, we don't play this way because it's just all in black's favor, right? So he needs to make a forcing move to make room for himself. And here he said really the only idea is to play the outside. There really isn't another idea. The territory is small in the corner. Now small is a bit of an overstatement, but if we compare black area 1, which we could have got, versus black area 2, area 1 was bigger. Area 1's attached to area 1, area 2, area 3. They're all one big area, and black is bound to do well. But now we say, oh, all I want is the corner. Well, that's smaller. Okay. White's about to play away. And which is a bit strange. His idea was these 3 moves, says I can treat them as Kakashi, forcing moves. It's like you responded to each one. I'm happy to treat them lightly. Just give them away. Now I would not be willing to do that. But I should open my mind to that and get busy on it. Okay. Says, well, now let's switch over here, get some information. George wanted to go in the direction of points. I wanted to go in the direction of overall fighting, which gets more into White's area. Chris agreed with me that this is a little better. Then he goes back to living, and he'll use that white stone real well soon. Okay, we did all this. Here we defended, which is a bit local. Makes more sense to force white to live really small, right? And maybe then come back. White's life is still in question. But we went this way, allowing white to run out. And now we don't dare play here. We have way too many stones in that little black area. If anything, get some air over there so it's not over concentrated. But we're not weak there, so we do our play away. And we come in with the shoulder hit, which is, of course, the common idea. Play lightly. If we play this way, we become a target. White knows exactly where the group is. and none of it can be given away. If we play here, it's like, well, is A the group? Is B the group? So if white says, oh, I'm going to kill the group, well, you got a little part of it, but that doesn't bother me. So it's lighter. We can be flexible. Okay? White comes down. So this A stone is doing so much work. Very hard to know how black can continue here. If we submit, we just lost a big chunk. And there's no variations, no questions. We got ours, he got his. So we pretty much have to cut. And then we pretty much have to fight. Chris said the only way to make the whole B situation, you just got to fight here and hope for the best. He was saying, white's not in a great position, black's not in a great position, and he had to, you have to try to get in there and try to make it work. Okay, so hopefully I was able to bring out a few of the good ideas. Chris went into some pretty serious detail of why this was better, why the other's better, what you have to be careful of, and that's just so many details. There's no way I can remember them all. Okay, I guess that's it. Thanks for watching. We'll catch you all later.